I'm Marty Johnson with Straka Johnson Architects, and we worked with the congregation here, starting out with some concepts early on in terms of how could we insert an elevator into this vintage church. We explored several different opportunities and areas, and we ended up with a design that we all felt very good about, somewhat unique, but at the same time true to the church and its architecture. There were several different things we were trying to achieve here, and one of them was handicap accessibility to the main sanctuary space. But a lot of other ancillary things that we were trying to solve in these vintage style churches, oftentimes you had they elevated the floors above grade to create a sense of importance in terms of coming to a place of worship. But that creates a lot of impedance relative to accessibility issues. So what we did was we actually took the outside steps down about 4 feet down to sidewalk level. Before, there was a set of stairs outside the building, so you're dealing with ice and snow outside in those outside steps. You came through a set of doors, then you were greeted by a short landing and a steep set of steps right up into the sanctuary. What we did was we lowered this whole door assembly by about 4 feet and created an inner lobby space at sidewalk level that allowed us to introduce a elevator access to the lower level fellowship hall, a set of stairs to the fellowship hall, as well as a staircase directly up to the sanctuary level. We kept the original arc glass above. We took the same doors and just lowered them down to this new 4-foot level. And then we introduced a new elevator that is deep enough to allow a casket to be used, as well as congregation members that are in wheelchair or walkers, things like that, from accessibility. So I can just come over through the front door on grade, come over and call the elevator. The other things that I was trying to achieve was the tie-in to the lower level fellowship hall and the worship space. Oftentimes what happens after a Mass or even before a Mass is that people go right up to the sanctuary, Mass is finished, and they head to the exits and go out the door. By having this inner lobby space, it creates a very welcoming social environment to allow congregation members now to be able to proceed from the place of worship down to the fellowship hall without actually leaving the church, still being in a climate-controlled environment. On the main worship level here, we've introduced a new separation wall. We lost one pew in all of this endeavor, but we also created a space now where if a parent is holding a crying child or something like that, they can leave the place of worship, stand back here while the doors are closed, and still be able to view the Mass, but then have some privacy. We also did add a small unisex bathroom here that could be immediately accessible, but somewhat separate from the main worship space. The other thing we did was the original back wall had 3 arches across it that entered reconciliation rooms, the exit corridor, and then the entrance to the upper balcony. We harvested those arched openings and then pulled them out to this new wall, and then recalled them in this new wall, then with our portals that accent that. Walkways leading to the transepts, and so we maintained the integrity of those original columns and inserted a doorway here to be able to work through that same arched walkway. And then this still leads to what was an original side exit. Carried through the vintage doors in this space, carried through, we had new doors made that are solid wood with the panel styles to match the original millwork of the church. Our lighting in this space is all LED lighting for energy conservation. It can have dimmers added to it if it wants to, and overall we created a nice welcoming approach to the worship space. One of the things that we displaced in this whole process was the reconciliation rooms. And so what we did was we actually harvested some of the back wood from that, and we created new reconciliation rooms at the transepts in the main body of the worship area in the sanctuary. We took the original pews and we shortened them by about 2.5 feet, and we angled them to create more of a sense of embracement in terms of during fellowship and worship in this part of the sanctuary. Entire assembly actually occurred back at this wall about 6 feet in this area, and they were very small, shallow reconciliation rooms that were originally built in the 1800s with the church, but hadn't been used for many, many years. So by bringing these forward, we now created a more appropriate sized reconciliation room with that's handicap accessible, and that has space for the priest and for the congregation members. And then carried through that, all this quarter sawn oak that was originally on here, brought it out. So these original doors to the reconciliation room are just fixed. And then we took the center doorway and actually pushed this back and created a little bit of an insert just for some additional statuary if that was desired at some point. We have a church that's nearly 175 years old, but now we've adapted some to today's program requirements in terms of handicap accessibility, security, sense of welcoming, safety, opportunities for more fellowship, better accessibility to the reconciliation rooms, kind of all combined while still staying true to the original architecture and the homage of what's been here for many, many years. We did engagement meetings with various congregation members, and then they went into a fundraising mode for about a year and a half or so, raised money for this, and then we went back again to the congregation, engaged them, shared them with some more of the details, and then once it was ready to go, then proceeded and finished our drawings and then bid it out. And Portson Construction was selected to be the contractor on the project, and we worked with them through the course of construction, and now the congregation can enjoy the finished product.